Hello, my name's Lisa, and today I just wanted to talk about basically my type 1 diabetes and kind of day to day and just how it can affect me from day to day. Everyone with type 1 is a little different. I have two type 1 children. Well, they're not kids anymore. They're 18 and 20, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about their day-to-day as well, because all three of us are a little bit different, although Grace's type 1 diabetes is very similar to mine, as far as the day-to-day and how it affects her overall, whole body, not just the type 1 diabetes. So for me, type 1, it's very difficult. I'm considered an extremely brittle type 1 diabetic. I also have hypoglycemic unawareness. What that means, brittle diabetic, means no matter what I do, I'm kind of all over the place. I eat extremely low carb, and that's really the only way to have decent blood sugars for me. If I basically put a carb in my mouth, even if I take insulin to cover those carbs, I still fly way up before I come down in just a very brittle way. So that's called brittle type 1 diabetes. As far as the hypoglycemic unawareness, what that means, and this didn't start until I think about 6 months after diagnosis. So I've had this most of my diagnosis, decades. What that means is I don't feel my low blood sugars personally until I hit about 30 to 35, which is extremely low for blood sugar. The lowest blood sugar I've ever had was 17 or 16, and that was registered on a meter, and that was pretty scary. That was many years ago. All four kids were real little. I had to take my son to the doctor the night after EMS had to come out. He had a severe bout of croup that wasn't managed at home. We tried and it just wasn't working. So EMS came out and just helped do that, and we needed to do a follow-up the next day. So I put all four kids in the car. I checked my blood sugar and it was about 120. We only lived about 15 minutes from their pediatrician. I was not on an insulin pump at that time, and I was not on the CGMS yet, which I was on, fairly soon. But that was the year that CGMSs came out. It was their first generation coming out, so I just didn't have it yet. So anyhow, I got in the car, blood sugar stable, what I thought was stable, drove with all four kids. The youngest was, I think Grace was about 1, maybe Riley was 3, right around there, and then 2 just slightly older. And I got to the pediatrician, got the kids out, went in the office, and all of a sudden I didn't feel good. I checked my blood sugar, and that's when it registered so low. Insane. The pediatrician's office completely panicked, which understandably, I was just starting nursing school to become a registered nurse at that time, so I get it now, because if I saw someone in the teens with a blood sugar, it would be rush. And most people are passed out with blood sugar that low. Most people go unconscious or have seizures. Everyone's threshold is a little bit different. Personally, I've never passed out from low blood sugar, and I've never had a seizure. Cross my fingers that there's none in the future. So as far as other aspects of just having type 1 diabetes, some mornings you wake up and you just don't feel good, and there might not even be a reason for it. Here comes the dog with her squeaky toy, so you're gonna hear squeaking. But it's almost like a flu-like feeling, and I'm not sick, I just feel off. And sometimes it'll go away, get better, improve throughout the day. Sometimes I just feel lousy all day. Blood sugars can change with hormones, sleep, alcohol, if you're sick, just pretty much any situation that day-to-day affects your life, or anything going on in your body will affect type 1 diabetes. So it's kind of a just constant day-to-day changes that you just kind of have to roll with and figure out how this day is going to be, or this day or this day. Now, I've had a lot of type 1 friends over the years, and I can say that some of them haven't had all of this stuff, that I explain. It's really interesting, and a lot of them do. The other thing is diabetic ketoacidosis. What that means is there's a lack of insulin in your body. It can be life-threatening. You have to go get emergency care, and usually you end up in the ICU for several days. I've been in diabetic ketoacidosis, I think a total of 3 times, and it's been several years now since the last time. But because of my brittle diabetes, just an example, if my insulin pump kinks in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping, by the time I wake up, I'm going to be in diabetic ketoacidosis, and it will spiral over a couple-hour period to the point where I'm so weak I am, on the floor, vomiting, can't get up. It's insane how fast diabetic ketoacidosis can come on. I've spent, all 3 of those. I was in the hospital for several days, ICU step down, that type of thing. So anyhow. Now let me go to my son Riley, who has been type 1 since he was 12, and for him, he just really doesn't have any effects. It's crazy. I mean, all the type 1 stuff, yes, but he doesn't have the days where he doesn't feel that great. He doesn't have the fatigue sometimes, and the waking up feeling kind of just flu-like or achy for no reason. It's really interesting. No stomach issues for him. He's just good. But my daughter, Grace, who is now, actually she'll be technically 18 on Saturday, but she is kind of like my little bosom buddy in type 1, unfortunately, I say, because I would not wish the fluctuations and the craziness that comes with my type 1, I wouldn't wish it on anyone, because it really can be difficult, frustrating. It's just hard sometimes. So she has pretty much the same thing. She has a lot of stomach issues. She has a lot of blood sugar fluctuations no matter what she does. Her A1C is really good right now, but in the past, she's kind of fought with that, which is very normal for teenagers. She's gotten a lot better about that in the last year or 2. But she really does struggle a lot of the time that I see with the same types of things, that I'm explaining. And it just is so difficult to watch in your child. It's one thing for you to just kind of, get through it, suck it up, just day to day, you're okay. You just try to make the best of it and laugh about it if you can. But with your child, it's different. I hate seeing the days where she wakes up and she doesn't feel good and she's got to go do 12 hours of school, with a 1 to 1.5 hour drive on the way there and on the way home 3 days a week. And, sometimes she'll text just, hey, I'm not really feeling very good. It's very difficult. Or she gets to school, and this is very rare, but, forgot her insulin pump change, and maybe her insulin pump went bad, or it's just due for a change and she forgot all of the stuff that she needed. That's happened a couple times. But just seeing that struggle in her that I have had for so long, it's just really hard. It was so much easier when it was just me, and then my son got diagnosed, and then 2 years later, almost to the day, my daughter. And, ever since then, it's very day to day. It's very interesting when the 3 of us are out together with Cooper, the service dog, the diabetes alert dog, or even at home, all 3, out and about with Cooper, the service dog, because Cooper has to alert on all 3 of us. He is insanely accurate, and it's really funny when we're all 3 together because he gets the scent, but sometimes it takes him a minute to figure out which person is the culprit. So he'll go, from person to person, or I might be sitting right next to Riley and maybe my blood sugar's high or low and Riley's is fine, and he'll alert Riley, and then he'll kind of, look over and then start sniffing me and then come alert me. So it's really comical sometimes. With chronic illness, you kind of have to try to make light of it as much as you can. This is, of course, my own belief, and try to laugh at the things that might be frustrating or challenging. I think it makes it a little easier, and I've really tried to do that, especially in front of the kids over the years, as far as not showing really how I'm feeling sometimes from day to day on those bad days. But, you know, it's been a little scary for them too, bless you. It's been a little scary for them too sometimes because, you know, they might see me have, this is long time ago, it was actually before we had Cooper. I ended up with a low that came on so fast one time that I was on the floor, I remember I was having trouble talking, and the kids were in their rooms with the door shut, and someone came out finally, and, you know, I'm sweating and confused and on the floor, and they had to deal with that, you know, go, oh, run, get, uh-oh. So this is an alert. Okay, hang on, let me check. So my insulin pump is my cell phone, so I'm gonna turn this off and check my blood sugar. So anyhow, and give the dog a treat because the dog is always right. Anyhow, have a great day, and that's pretty much it.